Greetings and welcome to America in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, executive editor of the Center Square Newswire service. Joining me today is the Center Square's Washington, D.C. bureau chief, Casey Harper. How are you, Casey?
Doing good, Dan. How are you?
I am doing fine, thank you, Casey. We are recording this on Friday, October 27th. And Casey, less than 12 hours ago, the U.S.'s involvement in the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas escalated when President Biden ordered the military to strike a couple of sites in Syria that are known to house Iranian-linked forces. This is a pretty big escalation from the U.S.'s standpoint of what's going on over in the Mideast. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right to say that this is something we really need to be watching closely. Is this going to escalate things? Every new step in that region now is really has the potential to escalate into a regional conflict and even some kind of world war where, different powers get involved. And so what happened was there's two sites in eastern Syria that are linked to Iranian forces. We sent our jets over there, blew them to pieces, and apparently, what was, I think, a successful strike. The Pentagon released information about it. Now, the U.S. said that this was a self-defensive strike, basically, because actually, I think a lot of people don't know this, but our troops in the region had actually been attacked by some of these kind of terrorist groups and Iranian-linked forces, and only one person died. They actually died it was a civilian who died of a cardiac incident, some form of heart attack or heart issue, while they were sheltering in place. So no one died as a direct result of the fire, but someone did die while sheltering because of the stress of it. And then I believe the Pentagon said 21 people were injured, but I think there were minor injuries because they're back on duty now. And so, this was not an unprovoked attack just in the name of supporting Israel. Of course, the U.S. does support Israel and does want to stand with them, and they've been working closely. And there's very likely we're going to send money over there, and we're going to talk about that, I think, later in this episode. But I think it's just important to be clear that I don't think this is significantly changing the U.S.'s position in the Israel-Hamas war. The Pentagon made that clear that they don't want this to lead to an escalation. They don't see this as a significant change in their strategy, but they said this is self-defense. You've been attacking our forces, and we're going to do something about it. I think from the analysis I've seen on it, this is really the U.S. trying to deter Iranian involvement in the conflict, keep that involvement from escalating, because Iran does have, is significant military capacity. They've been working on getting nuclear weapons for a long time. Israel, of course, does have nuclear capacity. And so, and Iran is really the sworn enemy of Israel. It's the best day in the world would be if Iran would be wiping Israel off the map. Now they are deterred in large part by us and knowing that we do not want some kind of regional Middle East war, basically what would be a religious war from Iran going after Israel. So I think the U.S. goal here, we can look at it from a couple of, what is the U.S., how does the U.S. see this? How does Iran see it? And how does Israel see it? The U.S. doesn't want this to go any further beyond Israel and Hamas. Because we're already fighting Ukraine. Our munitions are low. This is expensive. We support Israel, but we really don't want to get other powers involved, because especially if Iran gets involved, then there's going to be a lot of pressure on other Muslim nations, especially Turkey, to get involved. And these nations do have significant money and militaries, not to mention control over oil supply, global oil supply, right? And then if Turkey and Iran get involved, there's a real chance that Russia could say, hey, we hate the U.S. now anyway because of what's going on in Ukraine. We will at least pledge our support. And then if Russia gets involved, Russia and China become rather cozy, and China's just looking for any excuse to form a kind of global alliance against the United States, which is one of their big goals, so they can take Taiwan. And so if the U.S. is fighting a Middle East war or Ukraine war, that's the perfect time for China to take Taiwan, because we really would not be able to fight a war on three fronts, right? So I know I'm throwing a lot of information out there, but that is kind of the landscape. I think Israel just wants to take out Hamas. I think that they don't want a war with Iran, but they're always wary of that because Iran is constantly saying how they want to destroy Israel. So this could go two ways, Dan. This could be just a blip in a larger conflict between Israel and Hamas that doesn't really lead to anything, or this could be something that escalates. I think only time will tell. We'll have to see in hindsight how significant this event really was.
Well, let's briefly turn to the funding part of this, Casey. President Biden has requested more than $100 billion for a range of different issues, but included in that is more funding for Ukraine and their war with Russia, and funding for Israel and their war with Hamas. Up until the last couple of days, because the U.S. House lacked a leader, they finally picked a speaker this week in Mike Johnson of Louisiana. That funding request is going to go before Congress, but it faces a bit of an uphill battle. Is that what you reported?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, of course, the House Republicans have been very divided. They just got their act together a little bit in picking a speaker, but picking a speaker doesn't heal all the hurt feelings, the wounds, the frustration, the anger that have built up over the last few weeks. Republicans are already fighting again. Matt Gaetz released a video just attacking Jason Smith, who chairs the Ways and Means Committee. So, there's still a lot of division in the party. And I think it's going to make it hard to get things done, especially because there's a growing contingent of Republicans who do not want to send any more money to Ukraine. Now, Republicans tend to support Israel more than Democrats do. Democrats tend to support Ukraine more than Republicans do. And so I think Biden's plan here is, hey, we're going to put this all together in one spending package, $61 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion roughly for Israel, and just have everyone vote on it. Now, Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, actually has said he wants to separate that money out, which is really flies in the face of the Biden administration's plan. Johnson has in the past been more skeptical of Ukraine funding, and really much more skeptical than I think a lot of moderate Republicans would like. But he's recently said also that his ideas have evolved on this issue. So it's unclear if Johnson is going to stick to his skepticism on Ukraine funding, or if he is going to kind of play ball with moderate Republicans on that issue as a way of extending an olive branch now that he's speaker. That's going to be something really to watch. But I think Biden will be able to get the Democrat votes, but there's so much dysfunction right now. He's fighting an uphill battle, and then there's just random spending items in this bill. So I think it's very likely that something will pass, but Biden's wish list of 106 billion here is probably not going to be the final form of whatever does get through Congress.
Thank you for that, Casey. We look forward to your ongoing coverage of this issue at thecentersquare.com, but we are out of time. For Casey Harper, I'm Dan McCaleb. Please subscribe. Thank you for listening.